Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, inshallah we'll continue our story about Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Harun alayhum as-salam and the children of Israel. Now, Sayyidina Musa and the children of Israel and Sayyidina Harun, they arrived at the Holy Land. They are outside Al-Quds, Jerusalem, next to the Holy Land, next to Masjid Al-Aqsa. They are, historians and scholars say they were 7 miles away from the Masjid Al-Aqsa. And they're supposed to go in and take Masjid Al-Aqsa from non-believer who are staying there. Non-believer occupied Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. They were huge people, very strong, powerful people. So Sayyidina Musa, as a leader, he did what a leader should do. Talk to his people, give them courage, motivate them to get them to embark on their mission. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, He said to them in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ اذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ جَعَلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ وَجَعَلَكُمْ مُلُوكًا وَآتَاكُمْ مَا لَمْ يُؤْتِ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. And when Moses said to his people, O my people, remember the favor of Allah upon you. He just saved them from Pharaoh. He split the sea for them. They crossed the sea and He got them all the way there. So He did a lot for them. They saw the miracles and the power of Allah and the gifts of Allah. And then He said, when He appointed among you prophets, children of Israel, there is thousands of prophets that came from the children of Israel, and made you kings and gave you that which He had not given anyone among the worlds. Motivation, telling them, remember, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you are going to be fighting for the sake of Allah. Be motivated, have courage. And then He told them the mission. What is the mission? He said, يَا قَوْمِ ادْخُلُوا الْأَرْضَ الْمُقَدَّسَةَ الَّتِي كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَلَا تَرْتَدُّوا عَلَى أَدْبَارِكُمْ فَتَنْقَلِبُوا خَاسِرِينَ. O my people, enter the Holy Land, which Allah has assigned to you, and do not turn back from fighting in Allah's cause and become losers. So move forward. Don't run away. If you do that, you're going to be losers. So move forward. Now look at the children of Israel. After that pep talk, the motivation, and after He told them the mission, and after they've seen all the miracles of Allah and the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look at what they're going to say to him. قالوا يا موسى إن فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها فإن يخرجوا منها فإنا داخلون. They said, "Oh Moses, in this land are a people of great strength, and we will never enter it until they leave it. But when they leave it, we will enter it." After all of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to them, and all those things, and they have a prophet, 2 prophets among them, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to fight. Get them out, we'll go in. So Allah is telling us, it's not all the children of Israel were not obedient. No, some of them, but they were, it's minority. A minority were believers, true believers. So 2 of those minorities, they said, قال رجلان من الذين يخافون أنعم الله عليهما ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين. 2 men from those who feared, upon whom Allah has bestowed favor, said, enter upon them through the gate, for when you have entered it, you will be victorious. So put your trust in Allah if you are believers. Look at the believers. They said, all you have to do is just walk in through the gate. Do you think you are going to be the one who's going to defeat them? No. All you're doing is obey Allah. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's going to defeat them. Not you, not because you're smart, not because you're strong, not because you have the family connection, all of that, then you're successful. No. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who makes success. So they told them, all you have to do is just walk in. You're not going to even fight. Walk in, and Allah is going to defeat them for you. He's going to put fear in their heart, and they will run away. So after even the 2 of the children of Israel who told them that obey Allah, children of Israel, they said, قالوا يا موسى إنا لن ندخلها أبدا ما داموا فيها فاذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا إنها هنا قاعدون. They said, "Oh Musa, we shall never enter it as long as they are in it. So go you and your Lord and fight. We are sitting here." They don't want to do anything. Go and your Lord fight. We are sitting here. So now the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, قال فإنها محرمة عليهم 40 سنة يتيهون في الأرض فلا تأس على القوم الفاسقين. Allah said, therefore it is the Holy Land. It is forbidden to them for 40 years. They will wander through the land. So do not grieve over the disobedient people. This is a message from Allah to all of us. We refuse to obey Allah, the punishment of Allah is going to come. You will think you're doing what is best for you, and you're doing the things that Allah said don't do, and you think you're getting close, you're going to achieve your goal, you're going to achieve success, but you will never do that. You will never reach your potential. You will never reach your destiny. You're going to be going in circles. And that's what happened to them. You remember I said earlier, they were 7 miles away from the Masjid al-Aqsa. They can see the Masjid al-Aqsa with their own eyes. For 40 years, they got up every morning, they get ready, and they travel going to the Masjid al-Aqsa. They go in circles. In circles. 40 years, they can't get in. The power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure, obey Allah, otherwise you're going to be going in circles. When you read the whole story of the children of Israel, you will notice something that's very interesting. After all the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did for them, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them, the children of Israel were never really believers. They were not really believers. And they never really trusted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never. How do I know that? From what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran. After Sayyidina Musa went to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and came down and he found the children of Israel worshipping the calf, the baby cow. And he destroyed that. And Allah was angry with them, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave them. After that, they said to Sayyidina Musa, وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً فَأَخَذَتْكُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. And when you said, "Oh Moses, we will never believe you until we see Allah plainly. We have to see Him with our own eyes." So the thunderbolt took you while you were looking. After all of that, after the miracles, parting the sea, doing all the miracles, now we're not sure. We want to see Allah with our own eyes. So Allah sent a thunder, a lightning came down on them, a lightning, and killed all of them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought them back to life and forgave them. And you remember last khutbah I said in the desert they were wandering. In desert there is no food. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to them al-manna wa salwa, a sugary substance that they can eat to give them energy and all of that. And a quail-sized bird, a small bird, that comes to them every day. And they eat from that, the birds and the sweet stuff every day. And then the rock, 12 springs came out of all of that. Everything Allah gave them. But look at how they responded. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نَّصْبِرَ عَلَى طَعَامٍ وَاحِدٍ فَادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ يُخْرِجُ لَنَا مِمَّا تُنبِتُ الْأَرْضُ مِنْ بَقْلِهَا وَقِثَّائِهَا وَفُومِهَا وَعَدَسِهَا وَبَصَلِهَا قال أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير اهبطوا مصرا فإن لكم ما سألتم وضربت عليهم الذلة والمسكنة وباءوا بغضب من الله. And when you said, "Oh Moses, we can never endure one kind of food," they're starting now to be choosy. "Oh, we're tired of eating meat all the time, birds and all that fancy stuff. We're tired of it. So what do you want? So call upon your Lord to bring forth for us from the earth its green herbs and its cucumbers and its garlic and its lentils and its onions." So Moses said to them, "Would you exchange what is better for what is less?" Allah is giving you meat and fancy things and great things, and you're saying we want lentils and we want garlic and we want onion. So he said, go into any town and you will have what you have asked. And they were covered with humiliation and misery, and they drew on themselves the anger of Allah. It's kind of very interesting. Why did the children of Israel said, we want, onion, garlic, cucumber, all of that? Why? The children of Israel, they started to talk to each other, and they said, what if God one day forgets and doesn't send us those birds and the sugary stuff? What if he changed his mind? No, we want something that we can touch and feel, and we can store it and put it in storage and all of that. No. We don't trust, astaghfirullah, we don't trust Allah. We want something that we trust ourselves, so we need that. Never believed. Never trusted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with everything that Allah did. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think about ourselves. Allah is doing a lot of things for us. Do we really trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do we really trust Him? He's doing a lot of things for us. And Allah is telling us, if you start to trust yourself, you start to be a materialistic person, you trust what you can touch and feel, and you don't follow Allah's rules, because Allah's rules is best for us, then when you do that, Allah is telling us what you're going to experience. You're going to experience humiliation, misery, failure, and more problems than what you have already in your life. And that's what Allah did to the children of Israel. He said they are going to be covered with humiliation and misery, and they have the anger of Allah on them. And that's consistent with a hadith for our Prophet ﷺ. He told us, he said, whoever makes the world his focus, Allah will disorganize his affairs and make poverty appear before his eyes, and he will not get anything from the world except what has been decreed for him. What does it mean, make the world his focus? It means that to achieve whatever you want in this world, you forget Allah's rules. Whatever it is. I want to be promoted. I want to get the director position or VP position. That's my goal. I forget Allah. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to lie, badmouth my competition, do everything I can so I can get to that place. And Allah is saying, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, Allah will disorganize your affair. You're going to see, you have a deadline to meet, something happened. You can't meet the deadline. There is, things that you have to do, it doesn't work. Allah is going to make things more difficult for you, and you will not achieve except what Allah decided. But then the Prophet ﷺ tells us the other side. Whoever makes the hereafter his focus, it's not that he's not working hard for this life. No, he's focusing on this life, but he remembers Allah in all his actions. He remembers Allah when he's doing his thing. He wants to be the director. He wants to be the VP, but he's going to do it in a way to please Allah. He's not going to lie. He's not going to cheat. He's not going to badmouth anybody. He's going to do his best and work hard. So what's going to happen if you do that? Allah will organize his affairs and make him content in his heart. And the world will come to him by force. Allah will make things come to him by force. The promotion will come to you by force. Even if everybody doesn't want you to get the promotion, you will get it. And when Sayyidina Musa, after he came down from meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the 10 Commandments, he started to teach the children of Israel the 10 Commandments and the Torah, the Torah. So the obligation that he brought with them, they didn't like it. It seemed too heavy. They don't like it. They said, we'll accept the things we like, and the things we don't like, you keep them. We don't want to accept them. They thought religion, as unfortunately some Muslims do, religion is like a buffet. You have all the different dishes, and you walk in and say, oh, I like this, I like that, I'm not going to eat this, That's not religion. Religion is a package that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we have to take the whole package. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about that situation, He said, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضَ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْض فَمَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا خِزْيٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يُرَدُّونَ إِلَى أَشَدِّ الْعَذَابِ. So do you believe in part of the book and disbelieve in parts? Then what is the reward for those who do that among you, except disgrace, humiliation in this world, and on the day of resurrection they will be sent back to the severest of punishment. So brothers and sisters, if there is anything in Islam, it's difficult for you, you're not obeying, you're not doing, you're not fasting, you're not doing prayer, whatever it is, if there is anything, never say, I don't accept it. Say, I know this is the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm weak. Allah, please help me to overcome that. When you reject Allah's orders, then you're a brother of Satan, of shaitan, because that's what Satan did. Allah ordered Satan to bow, to prostrate to Adam, and he said, no, I'm better than him. So anytime there is something in the religion, whatever it is, that you don't do, even if you know a friend of yours and he says, he's drinking alcohol, as long as he doesn't say, I'm refusing that Allah is saying, don't drink alcohol, he says, I know it's wrong, inshallah Allah is going to guide me to get out of it, then you're okay. Inshallah, Allah one day will guide you to the right path. But never reject Allah's order, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when you read the whole story of Sayyidina Musa and the children of Israel, everywhere in the Quran, when you read the whole Quran, everywhere, when they're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they tell him, Rabbuka, your Lord. Not one single time in the whole Quran they say, our Lord. Nowhere. It's all the time, your God, your Lord. That tells you they don't believe. They just don't believe. Because if they believe, they would say, our Lord. But all the time they're saying, your Lord. Something interesting when you read the story of Sayyidina Musa. Sayyidina Musa, what made a big difference in his life is 4 women. It's amazing. 4 women are the one that made the difference in his life. The first one is his mother. As we talked before, his mother is the one was afraid, and for his safety, she put him in a box, in a chest, threw him in the river, and then when they brought him back to her, she nursed him, she raised him, and she taught him all the right things, all the good manners. The second woman is his sister. His mother said to his sister, go and check where the box go. And it landed on the shore in front of the palace of the Pharaoh. And his sister, a little girl, had the courage to walk inside the palace of the Pharaoh and tell them, I can tell you people who can raise him and nurse him and take care of him. And she's the one that brought him back to his mother. The third woman is the wife of Pharaoh, Asya, who is a believer. She's a believer. She's a Muslim. She's the one that when they brought that baby from the water, she said, don't kill him. I may have him as a son. She made a difference in his life. And the fourth woman that made a difference in his life, his wife, the daughter of Sayyidina Shu'aib. She's the one that went to her father and said, hire him. He's strong and trustworthy. He's a person of integrity. Hire him. And he offered him to marry one of his daughters, and he married that daughter. So 4 women made a difference in his life. It's amazing. Women have a major role in our life, but we don't pay attention. Now if you look at the relationship between Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Harun, and this is a model, a role model that we have to admire and learn from. How brothers deal with each other. And brother doesn't have to be blood brothers. Brothers Muslims. They complemented each other. Sayyidina Musa was strong and Sayyidina Harun was gentle. And Sayyidina Harun never said to him one time, wait a minute, you're the boss all the time, I want to be the boss one time. No, both are prophets, so Sayyidina Harun is a prophet. But he never said that. He was never jealous of Sayyidina Musa. He was always supporting him, never let him down. We need to have that relationship with these other Muslims. Look at what's happening in Muslim countries. They are killing each other. How is that compared to Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Harun, who are helping each other? We are killing each other in Muslim countries. We don't need any non-Muslim to help us. We're doing a great job by ourselves. Learn from Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Harun. Now we're coming to the end. Sayyidina Harun died. And Sayyidina Musa buried him. He's the one who buried him himself. A scholar and historian say that he was buried in Jordan, close to Jerusalem. Obviously, they didn't get into Jerusalem, so it's outside, that he's buried there. Just imagine how hard it is for Sayyidina Musa. His brothers of many years died, his supporter. He's the one that was his friend, his protector, his partner. He died. Sayyidina Musa died 3 years later. And the Prophet ﷺ tells us about his death. In a hadith, he said, the angel of death was sent to Musa. When he came to him, he punched him in the eye. When you read this, it's kind of puzzling. How he punched him in the eye. What happened? I read so many explanations for that. But the most reasonable explanation was that in the early days, at the time of Sayyidina Ibrahim, at the time of Sayyidina Lut, at the time of Sayyidina Maryam, angel used to come in a human form. Sayyidina Ibrahim, when the angel came to him, he didn't recognize him. Sayyidina Lut, when the angel came to him, he didn't recognize him. Sayyidina Maryam, Mary, when the angel came to her, she didn't recognize him. As a matter of fact, our Prophet ﷺ, the angel Sayyidina Jibreel ﷺ came down and sat in the masjid in front of all the companions and talked to the Prophet, asked him about Islam and about Iman, about Ihsan. And when he left, nobody recognized him, a regular human being. So he was, all of a sudden, Sayyidina Musa, he found him in the middle of his house and telling him, I want to take your soul. He thought this is somebody, walked in, intruder. Somebody walked into his house. So he punched him. So the Prophet ﷺ continued by saying, the angel returned to his Lord and said, you have sent me to a servant who does not want to die. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, return to him and tell him to put his hand on the back of an ox, a bull. And for every hair that will come under it, he will be granted 1 year of life. And Sayyidina Musa was huge. So if you think, and the skin of the bull is very thick in terms of hair. So like his hand may cover 50,000, 100,000 hair. So he went and told Sayyidina Musa, but he came to him in a form of the angel, not a form of a human being. So he told him that. So Sayyidina Musa said to him, what will happen after that? He replied, then death. He said, let it come now. And then Musa raised his hand and made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He asked him to die close to the sacred land, so much that he would be at a distance of a stone's throw from it. So Allah gave him that. He died close to Jerusalem, but not inside, still outside, because the 40 years did not pass. And it's very, very interesting. Some people say he was buried in Mountain Nebo in Jordan, and they have on that mountain a sign saying that this is where Sayyidina Musa is buried. But it's all guesses. But definitely he died in that area because that's where he was. All the prophets, there is thousands of prophets that came down to humanity. Only one prophet, we know exactly where he is buried. Only one, our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. He's the only one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him that honor. So we have to remember that. All other prophets, none of them, anybody knows exactly where they are buried. There is guesses, but nobody really knows where they are buried. There are more stories about Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Isa, but I will cover them in future khutbahs, inshallah. Particularly, there is two stories. Each one of them needs a separate khutbah. One of them is the experience of Sayyidina Musa with Sayyidina al-Khidr alayhi salam. And the other one, which requires another full khutbah, is the story of the cow, Sayyidina Musa and the cow, which there is the biggest chapter in the Quran, is called the cow, Al-Baqarah. And that story requires a whole khutbah. But we'll cover that, inshallah, in future khutbahs. Brothers and sisters, I hope that we all learned a little bit from the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and benefited from his experience and wisdom. If you're going to forget everything I said about Sayyidina Musa, I would like you to remember two things. Two things. The first one, stand up for injustice and stand up for the weak. That's what Sayyidina Musa was all about. Even before he became a prophet, he stood up when he saw one of the children of Israel being beaten up by one of the Egyptians. He stood up and did something. When he traveled and escaped from Egypt, and when he arrived outside of the city of Madian, and he saw the two girls standing with their sheep, they couldn't water their sheep because the other shepherds were standing there and taking their time, chatting, all of that. He pushed the shepherds, walked in, and watered the sheep for those two girls. He didn't stop saying, it's none of my business. He stood up for the weak. He never stopped helping. And we have to understand, if you help, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you need help, will help you. But it has to start with you. That's why the Prophet ﷺ told us in a hadith, Allah will always help a servant as long as that servant helps his brother. It starts with you. Help. Help anybody that you see injustice being committed against them, or anybody who's weak and need help. Don't hesitate. Don't think. Help. And the second thing that I would like you to remember and not forget is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I have repeated several times. His formula, His divine formula. Trust Allah, plus help, plus do everything you can, equal victory, success, and happiness, guaranteed, they will come your way, inshaAllah.